to Season 4, Episode 43 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Lucha Underground history with match number 8 on our list, which is the Lucha Underground Championship match between the champion, Muertes, and the challenger, Fenix, from the March 16th, yes, that's 3/16, 2016 episode of Lucha Underground titled Life After Death. This match is basically the spiritual successor to their Grave Consequences match, their casket match that they had in Season 1. It was an early match in Season 2, generated great buzz, excellent contest, very similar to that casket match, despite the fact that they don't use the casket. So how we got to this point, Muertes ended Season 1 of Lucha Underground as the Lucha Underground champion. On that same episode, Fenix became the first Gift of the Gods champion, a belt that we've talked a lot about. It's basically a #1 contender's title, works similar to Money in the Bank, where if you are the champion, you could cash in the title, but initially a 1-week notice had to be given to, prevent any cheap cash-ins, which I hate. I've become so sick of the Money in the Bank gimmick, so I appreciated that about Lucha Underground, with this storyline reasoning being that, Dario Cueto wanted a week to promote the match because he is a promoter. So Fenix was the first Gift of the Gods champion. He lost it in the opening match of Season 2 to King Cuerno in a shocker, in a great match that we've already talked about on our countdown. He would end up winning it back in a ladder match. And after Muertes survived a 3-way match against Prince Puma and Pentagon Jr., another match we've already talked about in our countdown, Fenix came out and declared that he would be cashing in the Gift of the Gods the following week, trying to take advantage of, a weakened Muertes who just survived a hellacious 3-way match, and it also being almost 1 year to the day from when their casket match aired. We waste no time with this match. We have a fast opening. Both guys come out guns a-blazing. They hate each other. This was the rivalry out of all in Lucha Underground that I really felt conveyed just that complete hatred that these two men had. We get just Fenix flying all over the place, hitting all sorts of handsprings. He hits an offensive maneuver out of one, goes for another, and Mill just basically kitchen sinks him with a big knee. But then he gets another one and turns it into a lethal injection, and then he goes for another one, and Mill ends up turning that into the Big E suicide spear to the floor. And this all happens, in the opening of the match. So it's working at a crazy, crazy pace. Fenix hits this big, fancy, elaborate springboard. Mill catches him with a cutter, though, and then we just go to town. This turns into another gore fest that you would expect from these two if you've seen Grave Consequences. Mill, rips at the mask. He blocks a Fenix tope with a big chair shot, which splits Fenix open. We've talked about it before. Fenix does an incredible job bleeding, and Mill just, bites at the cut and tears at the cut, and it's just completely disgusting and grisly. We get a big brawl through the crowd with some big spots where Fenix is kind of up on a guardrail and gets shoved off of it through a bunch of chairs. He proceeds to, make a bit of a comeback and then walks down a rail and turns it into a big dive off of the rail onto Mill. Mill power bombs Fenix on the announcer's table, and unlike the WWE, these aren't rigged to kind of implode upon impact. It's just brutal, this unbreakable hard desk that he gets power bombed on, and Mill just proceeds to then pound his head off the desk again, just showing these two guys hate each other. Fenix makes a big comeback as Mill is coming into the ring by hitting the double stomp on the ring apron, which is the move he used to finish Mill off at Grave Consequences. So it was a really great callback there. And then he proceeds to just start ripping at Mill's mask, right? Showing that, he isn't going to back down. Everything that Mill does, every bullying tactic that he tries to do, he will stand up for himself and fight back. And it is awesome. And the crowd is so hot. Mill is just livid that his mask has been ripped, and he cuts Fenix in half with a brutal spear, proceeds to just ground and pound him. But as he's pounding away, Fenix manages to get his hands on a chair, blocks a punch with the chair, and then just unloads with chair shot after chair shot on Mill, who is now bleeding himself. There is blood everywhere. Masks are torn, chairs are mangled, bodies are bruised, and this match is so good. We get a bunch of really good near falls from Fenix leading into our eventual finish. He gets a springboard 450 that's only good for 2. He shows off his strength by hitting a great deadlift German suplex, which again is only good for 2. Muertes, not to be outdone, ends up DDTing him off the top rope, which is insane. And goes for his, his coup de grace, right? He goes for the flatliner, which is the move he's been putting everybody down with in Lucha Underground. It was the move, off the top rope that won him the title from Prince Puma at Ultima Lucha 1. He goes for it, and Fenix gets a fluke roll-up, basically hitting like a reverse prawn hold, turns it into a European clutch, and it's enough to hold Mil Muertes down for the 3 count, and Fenix becomes the Lucha Underground champion. This was incredibly shocking at the time. I've mentioned it before. I would avoid Lucha Underground spoilers to try to watch, each episode fresh. I love Fenix. I talk about Fenix all the time. I find excuses to talk about him, even when it's, matches or promotions that he's not available in, or, that aren't applicable for him, because I think he's so good. So, huge Fenix fan. I was over the moon that he won the title here. I wasn't expecting it. Mil hadn't been champion long. He seemed like he was going to have this great run, but it made perfect sense that Fenix would pull off the upset here, and that this crazy, brutal, disgusting, bloody brawl, he would shock and win with a roll-up. It was really, really well done. It came off great. Mil was livid after the match. Fenix, bleeding everywhere, ran into the crowd. Who cares? He's bleeding all over the fans, pre-COVID times here, and celebrating with the belt in the crowd. And it was just a really great moment. This led to Katrina, who was, running Lucha Underground in Dario Cueto's absence for the first little bit of season 2, to, lose her mind. And she announced that, the next week it would be Aztec Warfare 2, which we all originally thought would be to determine a new #1 contender for the Lucha Underground title, but not so fast. Fenix would be defending the title in Aztec Warfare 2. He would be coming in at #1, and Mil Muertes would be number 20, the same as during Aztec Warfare 1. So a great callback there. Shows that Katrina, is stacking the deck against Puma, and ultimately maybe isn't fit to be running Lucha Underground, which, would tie into that match as well. This match is amazing. It is bloody. It is brutal. It is so much fun. I love everything about it. It is an instant classic that I feel kind of gets underrated and falls under the radar a little bit because the Grave Consequences match is so much better known. You can check this out though, depending on where you live. You might be able to find Lucha Underground on Tubi, but if not, Google search, you can find this match online on various streaming websites. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.